had. And don't you forget it, Audrey replied, clipping the diamonds onto her ears. Now, go get the wine. We have a lot of forgiveness to get through. Chapter 6. Swimmers and Pools. A few weeks later, the air in the Bingham apartment had shifted from diamond-funded forgiveness to biological anxiety. It started with a conversation about the future, the kind that usually happened after a glass of wine or a particularly adorable commercial featuring a baby in a diaper. Are we terrible people for not having kids yet? Audrey asked, staring at the television. Jeff adjusted his position on the couch. No, we're smart people. We have disposable income and a full night's sleep. Terrible people are the ones who bring kids to rated movies. Seriously, Jeff. Everyone we know is doing it. And we tried for 6 months a couple of years ago, and nothing. Maybe we should get checked out. Jeff winced. To a man like Jeff, getting checked out felt like an audit by the IRS, but for his manhood. I don't know, Audrey. My equipment has always been top tier. I played varsity football. I once threw a frisbee 300 feet. That's not how biology works, Jeff. Fast forward 48 hours, and Jeff found himself in a room that could only be described as aggressively clinical. The walls were an off-white that suggested boredom, and the air smelled faintly of antiseptic and despair. A nurse with a clipboard and a zero-tolerance policy for modesty entered. Mr. Bingham, here is the collection cup. The private room is down the hall. We have visual aids. Jeff took the cup as if it were a live grenade. Visual aids. Great. Like a National Geographic documentary on the migration of the wildebeest? There are magazines, the nurse said flatly. In the small, dimly lit room, Jeff sat on a plastic chair. He looked at the magazines. Interview with Brett Favre? Really? Is this for inspiration or just to make sure I don't get too excited? 20 minutes later, he emerged, looking like he had just survived a done interrogation in a foreign country. Audrey was waiting in the hallway. How was it? She whispered. I've had more dignified experiences at the DMV, Jeff muttered. If any of those swimmers make it, they better be grateful. I went through a lot for them today. Chapter 7. The Senior Discount. While Jeff was navigating the perils of the fertility clinic, Russell Dunbar was facing a different kind of existential crisis. He was at the newsstand, trying to avoid the milk-faced kid, when a woman tapped him on the shoulder. She was older, elegant, with eyes that suggested she knew exactly where the bodies were buried. Russell? Russell Dunbar? Russell turned, his predatory smile already in place. That depends. Do I owe you money, or are you looking for a night you'll never forget? The woman chuckled. It's Constance. Constance Williams. I lived in the building you grew up in. You used to take care of my cat. The smile vanished. Snuffles? Yes, Snuffles. Russell's brain did a frantic backflip through time. Constance Williams. His 18th birthday. The best birthday present ever. The afternoon when a skinny kid with feathered hair and a piano tie discovered that adulthood was a lot more complicated than the movies suggested. Constance, he managed to say. You look goodish. And you look exactly the same, she said, eyeing him. A bit more expensive, perhaps. Are you still as nervous as you were that afternoon? I remember Snuffles staring at you the whole time. She was judging me, Russell snapped. It was very distracting. Cats have no sense of boundaries. Well, it's lovely to see you, Russell. If you want, you can put your coffee with my items. I get the senior discount. Russell froze. The word senior discount hit him like a physical blow. He watched her walk away, his mind spinning. To him, Constance was a legendary figure of his youth, the woman who had initiated him into the mysteries of the flesh. To the rest of the world, she was a woman who saved 5 cents on her morning paper because of her age. He met Jeff later at the bar, looking genuinely shaken. I saw her, Jeff. My first. The woman who started it all. The teacher? Jeff asked, not looking up from his beer. No, the neighbor. And she offered me a senior discount. Ouch, Jeff said. That's a tough break, Russell. 1 minute you're a legend, the next you're a charity case for AARP. Chapter 8. Bears and Minivans. Adam and Jennifer were having their own crisis, though theirs was fueled by a Ford Mustang and a vision of the suburbs. They had planned a romantic getaway, but the trip had turned into a 4-hour debate on the logistics of their future. We'll have 2 kids, Adam said, gripping the steering wheel. And we'll move out of the city, a house with a yard. Maybe in 7 to 10 years, I like the city, Jennifer said. I like being close to Manhattan. I don't want to spend my life in a minivan. You'll have a minivan, Adam insisted. It's practical. And you'll drive the kids to school, and then maybe do some yoga, and I'll come home and we'll walk the dogs. 2 dogs. One big, one little. Jennifer stared at him. Who's watching the kids in this scenario, Adam? Am I just a professional dog walker and yoga enthusiast? I have a graphic design firm to run. We'll get help. A nanny. Someone British who breaks into song. We can't afford a singing nanny and a house in the suburbs on one salary, Jennifer argued. Then you stay home. I am not staying home, Adam. Why don't you stay home? I can't stay home. I have to be out there, killing bears. Jennifer blinked. Bears? We're moving to the suburbs, Adam, not the Yukon. It was a metaphor for being a provider. They pulled the car over. The romantic getaway effectively canceled. We're soulmates, Adam said, his voice dropping an octave. We're totally in sync. Are we? Jennifer asked. Because right now, I'm thinking about your boobs, and you're thinking about bear hunting. Wait, Adam said, his eyes widening. You were thinking about my boobs? No, I was making a point. We don't agree on anything. Chapter 9. The Verdict. A week later, Jeff and Audrey were back in the doctor's office. The atmosphere was thick with the kind of tension that usually preceded a verdict in a murder trial. Well, the doctor said, looking at the charts, the results are in. Audrey gripped Jeff's hand. Mrs. Bingham, you are perfectly fine. Everything is in working order. Audrey exhaled. Oh, thank God. However, the doctor continued, turning to Jeff. Mr. Bingham, your swimmers, they're a little slow. Jeff's jaw dropped. Slow? What do you mean slow? Like they're taking a scenic route? They're stopping for snacks? They're just not as motivated as we'd like, the doctor explained. It's very common. We'll start you on a regimen. No hot tubs, loose underwear, and this herbal powder, twice a day. Jeff stared at the small bag of brown powder. Does it taste like victory? It tastes like dirt, the doctor said. Outside the office, Jeff was silent. His world had been rocked. He was a man whose identity was built on strength, competence, and a certain level of physical dominance. Now, he was a man with unmotivated swimmers. It's okay, Jeff, Audrey said, pulling him into a hug. We'll deal with it together. No hot tubs, right? We can do that. I let the guys I play basketball with crowd me under the boards because I don't wear underwear, Audrey, Jeff muttered into her shoulder. I'm making sacrifices here. I know you are, honey. I know you are. Chapter 10. The Video Game Invasion. To cope with his newfound biological inadequacy, Jeff did what any mature, responsible man in his late 30s would do. He bought a state-of-the-art video game console. It's not a toy, Audrey, Jeff shouted as he hooked up the wires. It's a state-of-the-art gaming system. It has more computing power than the Apollo 11. And you're using it to run over hookers in a virtual city? Audrey asked, standing in the doorway with her arms crossed. I'm relieving stress. The doctor said stress is bad for the swimmers. The apartment soon became a war zone of digital explosions and shouted insults. Russell was over every night, lured by the promise of high-definition violence. Die, whore, die! Russell screamed, his thumbs blurring over the controller. Russell, watch your mouth! Audrey yelled from the kitchen. I'm talking to the game, Audrey! She tried to steal my social security checks! The obsession reached a breaking point when Audrey came home with her own news. I got it, Jeff! I got the promotion! Senior Deputy Editor! Jeff didn't look up. He was focused on a virtual basketball game. That's great, honey. Kudos. Way to go. Kudos? That's all I get? I just became one of the youngest senior editors in the history of the magazine, and I get a kudos? The Knicks are down by 2, Audrey. It's the 4th quarter. Eye on the ball. Audrey walked over and pulled the plug. The screen went black. The room fell into a silence so heavy it felt like it had its own gravitational pull. Jeff, Audrey said, her voice trembling. I am your wife. I am not a stranger. You meet twice like Patrick Ewing. My life, my success. It should matter more than a game. Jeff looked at the dark screen, then at his wife. For the first time in a week, the unmotivated swimmers and the virtual worlds faded away. He saw the hurt in her eyes, the genuine, deep-seated need to be seen. You're right, he said softly. I'm a jerk. I'm a high-definition, state-of-the-art jerk. He stood up and took her hands. Let's go out. Tomorrow night, floor seats. VIP treatment, just you and me. And I promise, I won't even mention the Knicks. You will, Audrey said, though her anger was softening. But you'll feel guilty about it, and that's a start. Chapter 11.